Welcome to Two Mics. Today I'm joined by a team of experts in their many years of experience being men and women. In the house, kuna Cyrus. Cyrus is what do you do? An architect of the land architect. I'm also joined by Incursion. She said I introduced her a Christian girl, but also this lady is seriously badass. Atajiintroduce baadaye akiongea mtasikia. And then I'm also joined by Janira. She's not Indian, so that name should not confuse you. Janira is a lawyer by profession. I'm also joined by Titus. He works in the scamming industry of the insurance. These guys are scammers, I'm telling you. It's always a pleasure to have you on set. Today we're going to have a discussion on the impact that COVID has had on the men and women and in the workplace. We hope you're going to have a good time. Yes. So there's a video that was making rounds a while back, Caroline Mutoko, and I think one of the takeaways from that video, men are to blame for the fact that the numbers of deaths and infections are more skewed towards them, right? So Caroline was saying that men are not taking their fruits. Men are not showering for whatever reason. I don't know what they were thinking. But she said that we are not showering.
So typically men don't observe hygiene well. So now during COVID, when we need to observe hygiene, that is being transferred here. So we are not washing our hands, we are not sanitizing. Just generally, we are not taking care of ourselves. And it's not a matter of ignorance, it's our quote-unquote toxic masculinity. Yes. So we are being told to eat healthy. We refuse. We insist on eating meat every day. We are being told to take our vitamin supplements or eat fruits. We refuse. We say we ain't about that life. When we feel sick, we refuse to go to the doctor. We take our herbs and say we'll tough it out because that's what men are do.
Yes. And you see now, that made me want to kind of explore this topic where is it when it comes to these numbers, my opinion would be different because I agree with her that generally men tend to be a bit more callous. Callous is careless, right? A bit more callous than women are, and therefore when it comes to COVID, wanaweza kuwa maybe that's one of the factors, right? But in my opinion, and I think research is also showing that part of the reason is men kind of are going out of their way to provide for their families. And once, even when you look at I was looking at some data on job losses in the US. Apparently, women have been affected more by unemployment than men have been, right? So it kind of shows that men are out there, and generally men are the ones. I can feel bad. I'm about to get slaughtered right now.
I don't like what Caroline. Her facts they're correct. The implication is not entirely correct. I agree that our behavior is part of the reason why we are being affected more, but it's not the whole story. It's part of the reason, but it's not all the reason. So she can't sit there and say the reason men are being impacted more by COVID is because of themselves.
Nobody truly understands what's happening. And I don't think around this table we can answer the question for why are men being affected more, because Black people are also being affected more. And there's definitely a lot of different hypotheses as to why that is. I think for COVID, we can just wait until we have learnt enough as a people to make conclusions about why particular genders or why particular races are being affected more. However, I don't think the reasons tabled by Caroline are accurate, just based on what the people around this table are saying.
I like that you've acknowledged we don't have all the information to draw conclusions, but in 2020, that's not what people do. We have to comment on everything, even if we don't have all the information.
Maybe to add something. Okay, in my line of work. Okay, so specifically in natural work, we are interested a lot in mortality rates, and along with that, the morbidity rates, the rates of sickness. And one striking thing that's undebatable, even pre-corona and everything, it's something very well known, is that men die early, men die younger. Basically, they're more disproportionately affected by diseases and death. Everything bad. Everything bad.
I think this, first of all, is coming from a place where I haven't watched the video. But as per what I've heard, is that her hypothesis was that men generally are not as hygienic as women. And, yes, you don't take care of yourselves as well. The reality is, the WHO has told us time and time again, if you don't want to get COVID or if you want to reduce your chances of getting COVID, what do? Wear a mask, wash your hands. Yeah. So the numbers clearly show that, yes, there's a disproportionate effect, like men are being affected more. So I don't think we can fairly say, and we all know that men don't wash their hands as much as women do. I can stand by. So there is, pre-corona. And you see, corona it's just an effect. We can now see the effect of people not washing your hands more. So I think, yes, men are less careful, and it might be a factor. We don't know what other factors could be in play. But I do think that it does have something to do with it.
Actually, what you have said concerning men being less hygienic, I kind of agree with it on a general point of view. When you look at it generally, men might be a bit more nonchalant when it comes to their personal hygiene. But on the issue of death, men dying earlier, I think this is something that, and even as the actuary, the scammer, he works in the insurance industry, the biggest scammers of all time. So from now on, we'll refer ukisikia the scammer, just know we're talking about Titus Magwa. But anyway, so what the scammer said, the men tend to die more. And biologically speaking, I was reading a research that was saying that the chromosomes that cater for immunity generally are usually in the X chromosomes, right? And remember, a man is X and Y, right? And women have X and X. So biologically speaking, they are predisposed to be more, I would say,
they're more susceptible to diseases.
No,
they're more
less.
susceptible.
Men are more susceptible to diseases when you compare to women, right? And trust me, women are strong. Women are designed to be generally stronger than men, right? Women can. No. I'm saying.
Immunity.
I'm talking about physical. I'm talking about not resilience. Yeah. So women are more. They can take much more pain than men can, and that is a biological fact. This is so true. But then I would want to counter what Ingashan said. You see, I would be of the opinion that men are being exposed to COVID more because they are out more. From a general point of view, men, ukiangalia the kind of jobs, if you look at the kind of neighborhoods where these diseases are very prevalent, especially in Kenya, are very, very low income areas. These are people who are doing kazi kwa mijengo, guys who are having to, and also, guys, if you can hear dogs barking, it's part of our ambience. We just want to make it more relatable. All I'm saying is that men are, in my opinion, out there much more than women on a general point of view.
I agree with you. Men may be out more than women. But, for example, I'll take an example of my household. I work. My mom works. We are the women who go out every day. Yes. So already it's skewed kidogo. Yes. But to look at it from another perspective, if you see people who go to 1824 wanafungiwa ndani because they had to drink and it's COVID time, who are those?
I don't think we also know enough about that. Like, honestly, the truth is you've just said two statements that I think are slightly contradicting each other. The first statement was around the biology, which is women have higher immunity. I have never read the study, but I'm interested in like learning more about that. It means if me and you are in a place and we're exposed to the same situations, you're likely to fall ill.
Yes.
So that already, I think, disputes that notion that men are falling ill more because they are out more.
I would say they build each other because of the fact that if my immunity is more likely to be vulnerable and I'm out more, that would mean then my likelihood also of getting ill doubles. So I wouldn't say maybe they contradict, but they build on each other.
And are men out more because they have to be out more? That's the thing that I don't know enough about. Or is because they are just generally disobeying the guidelines?
There's 2 construction sites. One we are about to go back to. One we went back to, I think, a month ago. Like when we were still deep in lockdown. The contractor told me that it's his workers who told him to try and push to come back to work because they can't. By that point, they'd stayed at home for 2 or 3 months. Bills were piling up. Yes, they needed income. So they need to go back to work. In a construction site, us who work in health and safety, maybe we'll have to come up with protocols that work during pandemics. But as of now, there's no distancing. There's no mask wearing, like all the precautions that you're supposed to take. So a construction site, who work mostly in a construction site?
There is an inequality in the workplace. There has been an inequality for a really long time where there's more men who are... No, if you look at all the industries in the world and you look at the ratios of men and women who are at work, there are more men at work in formal employment than there are women. That's a proven fact. And in the recent layoffs, there are more women who have been affected by COVID and unemployment, which again just goes back to the gender inequalities in the workplace. So more women have been laid off as opposed to men. However, that doesn't mean in the informal sector, where not many people are tracking, we have very little data about the informal sector. It's not to say that the informal sector, there's more men who are working there than women. We don't have, right now in COVID, I'm talking about like right now in COVID, we don't have enough info saying that more men are leaving the house than women. We don't have enough data saying that, especially going to work. We don't know that enough. And that's why I said I don't know whether men are leaving because they have to and the women don't have to, so because they're being taken care of, because I don't know. I don't agree with that data, and maybe I'm wrong, but I may need to see that data to see that like actually men are out because they have to more than women.
In my specific context, men are going out more than women.
It's too small a data set for it to be taken as the gospel truth for everything.
I would be of the opinion, though. I would be of the opinion that if you were to extrapolate it from the data that exists for the kind of work that Cyrus is talking about. Yes. And I would say that work and those kinds of jobs, these are jobs where you're not able to work remotely.
Like if we can't take that industry and we can't use that industry in this conversation even, because we could also mention a lot of other industries. Housekeeping is mostly women. Women are leaving their houses to go clean other houses. EPZ, mostly women. If you look at like industries like call centers, which have remained active throughout COVID, mostly women. So we can't say conclusively that like that sector represents a majority.
But in Gashan, I would say that I do agree with you that we do not have that data, but I'm saying we are able to extrapolate from. No. I'm not talking about from one industry, Kevin. All I'm saying is we have the kinds of jobs that guys are getting more exposed right now. People who are doing delivery, home deliveries. People are interacting one-on-one. You see, I know. Yes, directly. But now I'm saying, the kinds of jobs where, and especially let's look at our context in Kenya. The kind of jobs where people are having FaceTime. We're having FaceTime with each other, right? If you look at the kinds of jobs I'm talking about, watu wanafanya like kwa matatu, people who are working, Gikomba even more has more men than women. There's data that shows that, right? The people who are working in the informal sector, the Juakali, the people who are working in construction, the people who are working in home deliveries, where you're on a daily basis, you're having FaceTime with multiple different people. These are people. These are jobs where, and I'm saying, and definitely agree with you. We do not have concrete data, right? But you can be able to extrapolate it from.
Yeah. That statement. I am disagreeing that we can extrapolate data based on only sectors you have mentioned that are only majority men. There are sectors that are, for every sector you mention that is majority men, I can mention a counter sector that is majority women. Nurses, indirect contract with COVID patients, majority women.
And you can see they are being exposed to COVID.
But still, even in that, men, even in that, men are still, even if you take all the sectors that are currently active, that have majority women, majority men, in those contexts, still more men are getting affected. So we cannot extrapolate from those sectors. I don't think it's like a fair extrapolation.
I think we can go back to what Moretti was saying. It's more of a build up on different things, like immunity plus, even let's say a job has 50 men and women. There's one, let's say men may be more susceptible. Hey. Yeah.
I'll agree with Nkashen when she says, as of now, we don't have enough information to draw any conclusions. Is it that more men need to be out, or is it that more men want to be out?
That's a good question. Yeah. That's a very good question. Saying that more men have to be out is inaccurate. For me, that's absolutely inaccurate. So, is it that more men just want to go out?
Yeah. But anecdotally, when the lockdowns happened, and men, especially men who are married, had to now stay home, the biggest uproar was from men just being like, crap, like, I have to be in the house, like, with my wife and my children. Oh my gosh, the horror. The uproar came from men more than women. So.
And what's the problem with that?
With what? Then men, are they out because they have
because this is how I say it.
That answers the question.
I think it all boils down to the differences between men and women. Men and women are different, even fundamentally biologically.
But you're answering the question for us. Exactly. The question is, are men out because they have to be out, or are men out because they want to be out? Because that then...
Because now you're answering
the question. Yeah.
Well, they have to be out. They have to be out because they need to be out.
No. You see, her point was there was an uproar from men because we now had a lockdown. People have to stay at home. They're like, hey, man, Yani, this wife I married and these children are now. I have to be with them all the time. So do they leave the house because...
You heard the jokes of people going to get bread in Juja?
Yeah.
Yes, just because you want to be outside.
Yes. You see, so this
you're
now
sent to go get bread, you go as far away as you can.
The risk is because... Does it now look like the risk is higher because they want to be out?
Yeah.
Men were sitting in their cars in the parking lots drinking just because I've been cooped up in the house all day.
I will say it's because men want to be out. Men for one want to be out. And I will say that part of the reason why they want to be out is because the women are wired is generally, on average, men to be, if you're comparing men and women, men tend to be like more adventurous, more risk taking than women. So and like most men on average, like are always like.
I wish you could see the faces of female contributors are making at those statements.
Yeah. So like men always like need to be out there, like
I believe you,
taking risks and everything. So like being confined at home.
Imagine we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Exactly.
We're in the middle of a pandemic.
That's especially when that masculine side comes out. Like.
So it's for, okay, we are in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, children.
Let's go get COVID from the street.
Children biologically need to be out playing. Biologically, they're like adventurous. They like want to be outside. They want to explore the world. That's like how they are, especially when they're like toddlers. We are in the middle of a global pandemic, guys. Like, the kids... Yeah, what? You're risk-taking. Can you, like, leave it in your house? Or, like, stay with it in the house for a little bit?
The intention for this episode was to debunk Caro's video, but Titus seems to be inadvertently proving her point.
Yeah, but still, there's that aspect maybe overlooking of many men are breadwinners in family, especially low-income families, and they do need to go out and like look for money, support their families. So maybe that adventurous side is they understand, yes, there's a risk, but also us staying at home, there's that part we can tunaweza lala njaa. We can still die.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm agreeing with you, Kevin. That when you look at the aspect of being adventurous and the aspect of generally, and I'm sure I'm about to get a slap on the face for the statement I'm about to make. Generally, in most households, men tend to be the breadwinners, tend to be the ones to go out to look for money, to look for food for the family. So when you couple the fact that yes, one, they are breadwinners, two, they are very adventurous and confinement kind of is itchy, and thirdly, the chromosomal disposition that they have, you realize that the numbers tend to skew against men. And that's what I'm saying. We should look at it from a global point of view. We should look at it from a general point of view, where it's a multifaceted issue. And how Caroline oversimplified it, I think she and I think let me just take a moment from my diplomacy here. Caroline, sazingine, let me for real. Caroline, sometimes I feel like she takes a moral high horse. She tends to because it felt in that video like she was attacking men. She was lecturing us on how to behave, but at the end, without from her 300k per month penthouse somewhere on top of Nini working from home, without realizing that there are very, very many men who
don't eat meat every day.
Like meat is premium. As Ingashin is saying, in the middle of a pandemic, meat is premium. And fruits, there are men out there who even their personal hygiene is at this moment secondary. Like, my family is out, my family is going to go hungry if I don't do what needs to be done.
On that, something also I also wanted to say was there's also that societal pressure men have. It's yes, there's a pandemic and all that, but your sole role is, like in a family, is you have to provide. So there's that pressure of uko nyumbani, your family doesn't have food, you're just sitting there saying it's a pandemic. There's a way people will perceive you. Say I can't go to work because there's COVID.
Your wife will be the first person to roast you.
Yeah, like uko hapa, mtoto ana chakula and all that. So
what kind of man are you?
Yeah. So there's also that pressure.
So from what you've said, so Caro hurt our feelings.
Very much.
#fragile masculinity.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
#male tears are so sweet.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment and appreciate Ingashan. She's just provided us with some very good lunch. Guys, we are taking pizza and chicken.
You should see Tito's face.
All I'm saying is this. One of the leading causes, and I think it's Tito mentioned this to me a while ago, one of the leading reasons for divorce is not even infidelity, it's finances. It's money.
When we hear that the highest reason of divorce is money, we sometimes automatically assume that it's men not having money, which is not necessarily a fact. So the reasons for divorce being money is because of disagreements due to money. It could be disagreements because the woman is making more money. It could be disagreements because of people's spending habits. It could be it's disagreements due to money. It's not necessarily men having less money.
But we also we are in agreement in the fact that it's a multifactored
Yeah.
This dog is about to start barking at me.
Mureti is
Sorry.
really afraid of dogs.
I'm afraid of dogs.
There's a
You
dog
know.
sniffing his leg right now.
What kind of man are you?
Afraid of a female dog.
Me, I am okay. I'll hire security guards if I have to. I'll work hard enough. I don't need, So all I'm saying is, we agree it's a multifactored issue. We can also agree that even the lack or the insufficiency of funds of men is also one big contributing factor.
I'm looking at the statistics from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, just so that we have clarity on who's working and who's not working.
Yeah.
When are they from?
This is February 2020. Okay.
19 census.
Yeah. So out of a total of 13.8 million people in rural Kenya in employment, 7.2 million are women, 6.6 are men. Employed. This is in rural. The results show that the economically active population was 22.3 million, comprising of 19.7 million, and those seeking work of 2.6 million. Then females accounted for 50.2% of the total working population. Yeah. So this idea that comes from 1960, where men think that they work and the money comes in the house from them, it's incorrect. It's inaccurate. We have gotten to a point where I think all of us have married friends, and we know this. Men and women, both of them, they wake up in the morning, they go to work. Yes. So I don't understand where it comes from, where men think that, like, there's a perception that men work more than women.
I would put it in two factors. I would look at it in...
Hashtag Janira destroys. Hashtag facts don't care about our feelings.
Let me respond to what Janira said. No, let me respond to what Janira said. I would say that it is true, but the and I think it's something also Ingashan also kind of alluded to. When you look at data from a global point of view, I feel like you missed some of the nuances that might kind of sway the conversation in a different direction.
Yeah.
For example, now they've said, like, in the rural areas, women appear to be working more. Let's build up from this. When you majority of Kenyans are in the rural area, right? People working in the rural area, and so you will find that in a household that has the mother, in shags, for example, the mother, the daughter, all of them wanatoka wanaenda kulima. The husband also leaves, and also so you might see, it might seem, and it is indeed the case, that women in the rural areas appear to be more economically active because of the demographical structure that exists in that kind of setup. We cannot run away from the fact that in the society, it is expected, and we cannot detach ourselves from society. It is expected that the man should provide, even where the man and the wife are going to work. It is expected that the man is a breadwinner.
I would like to challenge that a little bit, and this is based on personal experience, and I think that expectation right now, and I'm speaking about people who are in our demographic, that expectation right now is more inside in men's heads than in the society.
Agreed.
And this
I beg to differ, respectfully.
And please just recognize that you're differing as a man. So just recognize that, because from the interactions I've had with my female friends in my demographic, and I have a lot of female friends who are earning more than their men, or like who are earning equal to the men that they're married to or living with. And even in those circumstances, with the conversations I have had with my people, it's still in the man's head that we expect them to be breadwinners. You're disagreeing as a man. Just like also recognize
I'm the one who feels that pressure, not you.
Exactly, that pressure. What I'm saying.
It's not in my head.
What I'm saying.
It's not in my head.
What I'm saying is that
It's not in my head.
that pressure seems right now to be a lot more driven internally by the man, as opposed to driven by the women that they are going to be with. That's just like,
how is that idea planted in my head to begin with?
It's an age old. It's an age old.
It's a societal thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
But that societal thing is from when you were born to growing up. Things change over the years. The same way when I grew up, more women were at home than men. But I have moved away from that. And I don't expect that I will just sit at home and my husband will provide for me. Women have evolved from that archaic reasoning, but more and more men have still remained in that, like, I am still expected to be a breadwinner and my wife is still expected to be the one who takes care of the household.
No. The second part, I don't hold that particular view, but the pressure is there for me to be...
Internal.
Where?
It's internal.
It's not internal.
It's more internal.
It's not internal.
It's societal.
Yes.
But it's because it's age-old. It's not recent.
It's God-given.
Also.
So, Ingashan, do you believe that there are differences between men and women that are God-given and which flow into maybe the different roles in a family?
Yes, I believe that men and women are fundamentally different. And I believe that there are roles and responsibilities assigned to men and women. But I also believe, and this is a very, very wide topic, and I don't want us to go into it right now, but I also believe that those fundamental differences have been exploited to an extent by human beings and completely misunderstood over time, over years and years of time. Like, there's nowhere, I'll give you a random example, and I would like us to talk about this, like, topically, as opposed to, like, Christians, men and women. But, like, there's nowhere in the Bible that says the woman should wash dishes, right? But over years, the society and, like, how we have been bred and how we've been grown, there is an expectation that women should wash dishes. And many Christians have used the argument that men and women are fundamentally different to justify that women should be the one washing dishes. So that's an example where I think it's a misunderstanding and it's like a complete skewing of what those gender roles in the Bible actually meant.
So I agree with Ingashan. I agree with Ingashan on two factors. One, we have to look at it. This issue is a structural issue. It's something that is very structural, and secondly, it's very contextual to the kind of society and culture that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
That is the third big word of the conversation.
Let me build up my point. And all I'm saying is, hey, today we have big words. So big. We are so huge, we're so good. But anyway, so I do honestly. There's a guy called Bob Bartley. He's a theologian that I really like. He's saying that when you look at the Bible, just on the surface of it, it has been used to justify slavery.
Yeah.
The Bible has been used to deny women universal suffrage, the right to vote. So the Bible, when you look at it on the surface, there are it can be weaponized.
Yeah.
The Bible can easily be weaponized against certain people, certain demographics. It's very easy to do that.
Yeah.
So I sometimes I usually and it's something I also agreed with Bob Bartley. When you're looking at the Bible, you need to look at it from a certain context. The culture. It was authored within a certain culture. We agree to disagree. Clearly, I can see it on Dito's face. Yes, but now to build back to what.
Before you go on, I agree with what Ingashan has said.
I was about to agree with her
about the gender roles.
You've interrupted me to agree.
Sorry.
As I was about to agree with Ingashan,
I think I'm more sympathetic to feminist issues than most of men my age. But that issue of pressure, of gender expectations and gender roles, that is a hill I will die on. That is not an internal issue. Yeah. That is, I think,
let me finish actually. That's where I was about.
Why do you feel that way?
The pressure. That's a whole other conversation.
That's what I was about to say.
That's a whole other conversation that we need to have.
I think before we finish that conversation.
Yes, we are not finishing it actually, but yeah. let me agree with Ingasha.
I agree with her, and then I can say something.
Yes. Yeah. So we agree that there is a context to it. Then also, if we can agree that there is a cultural context to it, then we can also agree that we as men are part of a certain cultural context. Yeah. We are part of a particular there's a particular cultural environment that we live in. And so
which you have propagated.
no, which has been handed down over time by the
I
society.
know, by other men.
It's not always men. Society.
It was working for you. Now
You see,
it seems.
Society. No. Society is usually a construct of men and women and children and everyone in it.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But
So now,
if we look at it historically, men have had the power to propagate certain values. Yes. So you can't say that it's been influenced by men and women, but to be honest, it's men who have actually held the mantle and said, this is what we are taking forward.
you see, Janira, and that's what I'm saying. At this point,
Yes, you are being oppressed by the patriarchy.
So now my point is, my point is, goja. Guys, no, we are going to, I want to take it back to the issue of why men are going out. She has a very good question. Are men going out because they have to or because they want to? So now, on the point of incarceration, men are going out because they have to and because they want to. Those two factors are working together because they have to go out and because they want to. Because a man is expected from the current societal context that we're living within to provide for the family. So it's very, very important. That the man goes out to provide for the family. And also there are kina huyu Sakaja who go out because they want to. Yeah.
Led by our senator. Yeah? I think also it is it cannot be generalized in this sense that we say that men are expected to provide, because even now in the context of dating, and when I'm talking to the person I'm dating, I think we've already gotten to the point where I understand that I will not sit down and expect that he will bring home the bacon. There's no expectation from me that I will sit in the house, or even if I go to work, that my money is my money and his money is our money. For me, there's no expectation of that. So yes, you're saying that there's an expectation for men to do that, but also I think it's also you consider it on a case-to-case basis.
But we have to look at it from a general point of view. That your man might not expect that, but what does your dad and mom expect of your man?
My mother, as a provider, does not have the expectation that a man will take me and take care of me.
Okay.
Yeah, like for me personally, that is not the expectation, and for Ingashan as well, I can tell.
And for me, I have asked my father, like, hey, like, what do you expect of my future partner with regards to finances? And he has categorically said to me that, like, two people living in one house need to decide by themselves how they are going to survive. So I know for a fact that even though my father was very misogynistic in his thinking, and I hope he's not listening to this podcast.
Hi, Baba Ingashan.
In the past, he has evolved over time. And now he thinks very differently about the financial roles of men and women.
I wanted to bring you back to some point we raised, but I don't think we fully addressed. Where you guys said that Caroline hurt our feelings. The part where I think most men took offense is like the tone she was taking, and what she was implying that maybe generally men are kind of irresponsible, because I think during a pandemic you would expect there's this general expectation of personal responsibility, and she was trying to like lecture the men in that like the men are not being responsible, and I think that's what. Yes, that's what hurt our feelings, because I think, and I'm of the opinion that men are out there doing what they have to do. For the most of them, for the most part.
Oh, I think to me, I've been silent because the ideas I came in with, I've been shattered. Yeah, I'm like, hey, Caro is right. We're kind of irresponsible.
But you see, you also have to acknowledge that it's true. If you're not responsible for yourself and you live with other people, then you are being responsible, for the family as well. Yeah, so I don't think it's a lie.
Did it hurt our feelings because it's true?
Yes, it did.
So I think we can all agree that our feelings were hurt by Caroline's tone. How dare she take that on with a man? And actually, I think it's our pride. It's somehow in one part, I think our misogynistic pride that would how dare she? But also, I think also the fact that she was mtu atakaye kuambia ukweli. People don't like to be told the truth. So anyway, so my winding up opinion would be that men go out, and this is a message to you, Caroline. Men go out because men go out because they want to and they have to. There is no but about it. It's men go out because they must, and some go out because they can. Yeah. So
my summation is like my friend here. We came here with the express intention to debunk Caroline. But the more we thought about it, I am now on her side. I don't even mind the tone that she took with us.
My plea is to men, especially men who have families. Family is a beautiful thing. And the opportunity to stay at home locked down with your family is not a punishment. Like, it should actually be something.
Like, we have to say that it's not a punishment.
It's not a punishment, guys. We promise. Like, it's not a punishment. And you really need to search deep within yourselves and ask yourselves, why do you feel like that? Yeah, stick away.
Last message to the men: do what you have to do. Take care of your family.
Yeah. First of all, men who think that staying at home is a punishment, they need to search deeper, search deep within, and understand why it feels like a punishment. But I think it's just generally people should be more careful because we all have to go out. I have to go out, Tingashan. I know you have to go out, Mureti. So it's just, if you have to go, if you don't have to go, don't go. But if you have to go, just be more careful.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us today for this podcast. We hope we earn the value of your time. And join us next time for the next episode.
Bye.
And eat fruit, sanitize na usikule nyama. Bye.